My name is Afshan Ali. I am a midwife. I work at James Cook University Hospital on the Central Delivery Suite. I graduated from Teesside University in 2018. I originally did law at Teesside University when I finished sixth form. It was in my third year of my law degree when I considered midwifery as a career choice. Throughout school, I was encouraged to embark on a career in medicine, and I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't really want to be a nurse, and midwifery really wasn't something that I'd thought about or that had crossed my mind. So I'd had enough of education at this point after my law degree, so I just continued on that path and worked in the courts for 8 years. But the idea never really left me, and I was that person that always said if I could go back I'd be a midwife. And then with family encouragement, my husband, my mum, my wider family, they just said, you know, you're going to be working for a very long time, so why don't you just give it a shot? So I applied. Didn't have much hope that I'd get a place because I didn't think they'd take me seriously having a previous career in law. But I got in and I've never regretted it. I've never looked back. It's definitely the right job for me. I absolutely love being a midwife. And as cringe as it may sound, it is like a bit of a calling. It is an identity. So I class being a midwife as part of my identity, and I just absolutely love it. So I primarily work on Central Delivery Suite, so that's where women come into labour, and we go on to, they'll go on to obviously deliver their babies, and no day is the same. I've been qualified for 3.5 years now, and I can honestly say I still absolutely love my job, even though it is tough, and there's there's cuts and there's all sorts of staff shortages, etc. However, there's just something so special about being a midwife in that environment and just being the first person to touch that life. I can't even describe it, and it never gets boring. That feeling just never goes. Just watching a family form in that room is just the most special thing. And I can relate it a lot to sort of my faith as well, which I feel sets my foundation in terms of like my morals and the way that I work and look after women and their families, which I think is so important. And just to be able to have that ability to sometimes tailor my care to families that come from the same faith or the same community as me is just so special, because I have a mutual understanding with them, having 2 children myself as well. It's just so special, but no day is ever the same. You just don't know what's going to come through the door. In terms of applications from the BAME population for nursing and midwifery, I think the main reason we don't see it is because of a promotion of midwifery and nursing as a career choice. I do think it needs to be a little bit more targeted. Naturally, looking back, when you're making a decision on kind of your A-levels or what career choice you go down, you do tend to discuss that with your family, especially within the Asian communities. In terms of nursing and midwifery as a career choice, you know, you can climb the ladder very quickly in terms of promotion. Just looking at the job as a whole, I think there is a little bit of a stigma attached to nursing and midwifery within the South Asian community, just because back in the countries that our parents or grandparents might have come from, midwifery was seen as a bit of an unclean career, an unclean job, and it's normally just like the village elder or somebody who is assumed to have experience of birth and pregnancy who would just attend the births. That is changing. There is a lot more women in these areas that now attend hospital for their births and access antenatal care appropriately. One of the issues that some potential applicants might feel are a bit of a barrier when applying for midwifery is the idea of working long 12-hour shifts in a hospital environment, days and nights. you know, which will be part of your placement. But once qualified, you know, the role of a midwife is so diverse. There's so many specialities that you can go into. There's public health, there's community midwifery, there's infant feeding, there's research. There's lots of different things that you can do. You can kind of escalate up the career ladder into management. You can go into sort of being a matron, or into the service side of things, or the corporate side of things for the NHS. So it isn't just you know, your 12-hour shifts, your hospital working pattern. The role is very, very diverse, and there's so much opportunity. In terms of some of the challenges that we might see in midwifery, which, you know, are always kind of in the news and on wider platforms, there is a shortage of midwives in the UK, and that is something that is being addressed and looked into. Which is why it's really important that we just increase the number of applicants, etc. But overall, from a kind of a personal perspective, you know, there are huge health inequalities in the UK when it comes to maternity services, and it's highlighted by reports such as Embrace. But what I feel I can contribute as somebody from the ethnic minority community is the knowledge and the wisdom and the insight in being part of that community to try and tackle some of them health inequalities and tailor people's care and educate people into the way that these communities work in terms of their background, how they view pregnancy, what their barriers might be to healthcare, and try and overcome these to improve you know, some of the statistics that we are seeing. For anyone considering midwifery as a career option, I would say just go for it. It's a lifelong career, working, you know, for one of the biggest organisations in the UK, and you can take it anywhere in the world, really. You'll never be out of a job. Everyone is always having babies, so midwives will always be needed, and just persevere. Do as much research as you can around the role. If you can, speak to midwives. Any kind of experience that you can get in a maternity or healthcare setting will always help to inform your choice. That is something I personally did. Changing my career from law to midwifery, I had a mortgage, I had lots of things to think about. So I did do some volunteering in the maternity department at James Cook, which completely made my mind up for me. That's not a necessity for your application, just kind of any insight you may have, any knowledge of any reports or what's current in midwifery will certainly help, but just go for it, just apply.